The stench of burnt circuitry and desperation clung to the air as the last surviving human in the galactic transit hub staggered forward, eyes narrowed against the flickering lights. The corridor stretched endlessly, its metallic walls reverberating with the distant echoes of clashing species. Caleb Wren, a lone remnant of humanity's once proud presence among the stars, was now thrust into the center of the conflict that could decide the fate of countless worlds. The trial chamber loomed ahead, an imposing amphitheater where the galaxy's most powerful species convened to dispense their brand of justice. Today, however, it was not justice on trial, but humanity itself. Caleb's heart pounded, each beat a reminder of how fragile his place was in this cold, alien domain. As he entered, the uproar of alien voices hit him like a wave, a cacophony of languages and dialects that blended into a single, hostile roar. At the center of it all stood the Tribunal, an assembly of beings whose sheer presence demanded obedience. Their elongated forms and gleaming exoskeletons shimmered in the artificial light, as if mocking the very laws they claimed to uphold. "Human," a voice boomed, silencing the crowd and bringing all eyes onto Caleb. It was the Arbiter, an imposing figure whose translucent skin revealed the pulsing flow of its alien blood. "You stand as the last witness of your kind. Your testimony will determine the consequences of your species' actions." Caleb swallowed hard, his throat dry as sand, but he met the Arbiter's gaze with a resolve forged in the crucible of human history. "I speak not just for myself, but for the billions who came before me," he declared, his voice unwavering despite the weight of the galaxy pressing down on him. From the shadows of the Tribunal rose an unexpected figure, a frail, ancient alien whose whisper cut through the tension like a blade. "This human claims innocence for his kind, yet their planet burns in the wake of their own hubris." Caleb flinched at the reminder. Earth was in ruins, a victim of both external enemies and internal strife. Yet he knew that the story did not end there. "We are not perfect," he conceded, "but we are resilient. And though our world is scarred, our spirit is unbroken." The Tribunal paused, the members exchanging glances, their expressions unreadable. Then, as if prompted by an unseen signal, they leaned forward, their combined presence a looming threat. "And what of the charge that your kind incited rebellion across the stars?" the Arbiter challenged. Caleb's mind raced. He recalled the whispers in the dark corners of the hub, tales of human ingenuity sparking hope among the oppressed. But it was more than just rebellion, it was a fight for survival, a testament to humanity's refusal to kneel. "We did not incite rebellion," Caleb replied, his voice growing stronger. "We inspired it." A murmur rippled through the assembly, a tide of unease that seemed to swell with every passing second. The Tribunal's authority was absolute, their verdicts beyond question. Yet, here was a human, defying their narrative, flipping the script in a way that left them momentarily speechless. Before the Arbiter could respond, the chamber was plunged into darkness. Emergency lights flickered on, casting an eerie glow that revealed the fear etched into every alien face. The power had been compromised, the hub's systems failing in a manner that suggested sabotage. Caleb seized the moment, his instincts honed by years of survival. "You underestimated us," he declared, his voice cutting through the chaos like a beacon. "But humanity is not so easily eradicated." The Tribunal's members hesitated, their confidence shaken by the unexpected turn of events. It was in this moment of uncertainty that Caleb saw the path forward, a chance to turn the tide of history, to show that even in the face of overwhelming odds, humanity could stand and fight. The darkness was an ally now, shrouding his escape as alarms blared and the Tribunal scrambled to regain control. Caleb dashed through the corridors, the weight of his mission driving him onward. As he disappeared into the shadows, one question burned in his mind. Could humanity, against all odds, rise from the ashes and reclaim their place among the stars? The sky burned crimson as the last of the sun's rays dipped below the horizon, casting an eerie glow over the crumbled remains of what once was a bustling city. The air was thick with the acrid scent of smoke and the metallic tang of fear. Against the backdrop of twisted steel and shattered glass, humanity's struggle for survival continued. Evelyn stood atop the collapsed husk of a skyscraper, her eyes scanning the horizon. Her heart pounded like a war drum as she surveyed the wasteland. She clutched the rifle slung over her shoulder, the cold metal an assurance of the firm resolution she carried within. The world had changed, but humanity's indomitable spirit remained relentless. "See anything?" Marcus called out, his voice a low rumble as he climbed up beside her. His face bore the marks of a hard life, each scar a testament to battles fought and won. The lines around his eyes seemed deeper, shadowed with the weight of their collective burden. "Just the usual," Evelyn replied, her voice steady despite the uncertainty gnawing at her insides. "Smoke plumes to the north, probably another group like us trying to find shelter." "And them?" Marcus asked, his voice hushed, as if speaking of the enemy might summon them. "No signs yet, but they're out there," Evelyn answered, her grip tightening on her weapon as she thought of the alien invaders who had decimated their world. The Dracon had come from the stars, their purpose inscrutable, their motives as alien as their forms. It had been 2 years since their arrival, 2 years of relentless conflict and survival against an enemy that seemed to know no mercy and showed no signs of stopping. Marcus sighed, looking at Evelyn with a mixture of admiration and concern. "We need to move soon. The longer we stay in one place, the more likely they'll find us." Evelyn nodded, her mind already working through the logistics. "We need supplies. We're running low on everything: ammo, food, clean water. We can't keep running without those." Marcus grimaced, knowing the truth of her words. "We spotted a supply cache a few miles back, but it's risky. Dracon scouts have been spotted in the area." "We don't have a choice," Evelyn said, her gaze steely. "We go at first light. Gather the others." As they descended the precarious ruin, Evelyn's thoughts drifted to the others in their group. Each person had a story, a reason to fight. They were all that was left of her unit, a ragtag band of survivors, each with their role to play in this desperate struggle. The dawn broke with an oppressive silence, the kind that pressed down on the world like a heavy shroud. The group gathered at the edge of what once was a park, its trees now skeletal sentinels in the ash-laden landscape. Evelyn looked over her companions, her resolve reflected in their eyes. There was Sam, the tech specialist, who had made himself invaluable by repurposing old technology to serve their needs. His hands were always busy, fixing radios, wiring explosives, or tinkering with their scavenged vehicles. Beside him stood Leah, their medic, a calming presence with a sharp mind and a steady hand, ensuring they lived to fight another day. Then there was David, the ex-military strategist turned de facto tactician, whose plans and foresight had saved them more times than Evelyn could count. Each of them bore the marks of their shared journey, and each was committed to the fight ahead. "We all know what we're up against," Evelyn began, her voice carrying over the group with the confidence of a seasoned leader. "This is our chance to resupply, but it's not going to be easy. The Dracon patrols are increasing, and they're adapting to our tactics. We need to be smarter, faster." David stepped forward, his presence commanding attention. "The cache is located in an old military outpost. We can expect it to be well guarded. We go in quick and quiet. Sam, Leah, you'll be on overwatch. Marcus, Evelyn, you're with me on point." Sam nodded, adjusting his makeshift headset. "I've rigged the drones we found to give us a better view of the area. They'll help us spot any Dracon before they spot us." Leah checked her medical kit, her face set with determination. "I'll be ready if anything goes wrong." "Let's move out," Marcus ordered, leading the way. The journey was tense, every step echoing with the unspoken fear of detection. They moved through the ruins like shadows, their senses heightened, every rustle of leaves or snap of a twig a potential harbinger of doom. As they neared the military outpost, Evelyn raised her hand, signaling the group to halt. The outpost loomed ahead, a relic of a bygone era. It stood defiant against the ravages of time and war, its walls battered but unbroken. Sam deployed the drones, their small forms buzzing into the sky. He monitored the feed carefully, his eyes flickering across the screens. 3 Dracon sentries, southwest quadrant. I don't see any heavy artillery, but that doesn't mean it's not there. David nodded, formulating their approach. We need to take out those sentries first. Quietly, then we move in, grab what we can, and get out. Evelyn took a deep breath, focusing her mind on the task at hand. Let's go. They moved with practiced precision, communicating through hand signals and glances. As they approached the sentries, Evelyn could feel her heart in her throat. One misstep and the entire mission would be compromised. Marcus made the first move, his knife flashing in the dawn light as he dispatched the nearest Dracon with a swift, silent cut. Evelyn moved next, her rifle a seamless extension of her arm as she took aim. She pulled the trigger, and another sentry fell, its alien form crumpling to the ground. David handled the last, his blade finding its mark with lethal efficiency. The sentries lay lifeless at their feet, and the path to the cache was open. "Move," David ordered, and the group darted forward, entering the outpost with hushed urgency. Inside, the air was thick with dust and the lingering scent of gunpowder. They fanned out, searching for the supplies they so desperately needed. Evelyn's heart pounded in her ears as she rifled through crates, her pulse quickening with each precious find. "Ammo here," Marcus said, passing boxes of bullets to Sam, who quickly stuffed them into his pack. "Medical supplies," Leah announced, her voice taut with relief as she added bandages and vials to her kit. Evelyn grabbed a canteen of water, her throat parched from the tension. "Let's hurry. We don't know how long we have before more show up." Just as they began to regroup, the ground trembled beneath their feet, a deep rumble that sent a jolt of fear through the group. "What the hell is that?" Sam asked, his voice tinged with panic. Their answer came in the form of a deafening roar, as a massive Dracon war machine emerged from the shadows, its metallic form towering over the outpost. Its eyes glowed with a malevolent light, and its weaponry bristled with deadly intent. "We need to go, now," David shouted, his command cutting through the rising panic. The group sprinted for the exit, but the machine was faster, its weapons unleashing a barrage of destruction that rained down around them. Evelyn felt the heat of an explosion at her back, the force propelling her forward as she stumbled through the debris. "Split up," Marcus yelled, veering off to draw the machine's fire. "We'll regroup at the fallback point." Evelyn nodded, her mind racing as she fled into the ruins. The sound of gunfire and explosions echoed in her ears, but she forced herself to focus, to keep moving. She dove into an alleyway, her heart pounding as she pressed against the wall, trying to catch her breath. The world spun around her, a dizzying blur of fear and adrenaline. Then she saw it. A Dracon soldier, its form sleek and predatory, stalking through the shadows. It hadn't seen her yet, but it was close, too close. Evelyn held her breath, her mind racing through her options. She could try to take it out, but the risk of drawing more attention was too great. She needed a distraction, something to lure it away. Her gaze fell on a piece of broken glass, and an idea sparked. She picked it up, careful not to make a sound, then hurled it across the alley. It shattered loudly against the far wall, and the Dracon turned, drawn by the noise. Seizing the opportunity, Evelyn slipped past the distracted alien, her movements silent and swift. She needed to get back to the others, to regroup and figure out their next move. As she emerged from the alley, the devastation around her was stark. The outpost was a smoldering ruin, the Dracon war machine still prowling amidst the destruction. She could see Marcus and David engaging it with hit-and-run tactics, trying to draw it away from the others. Evelyn's heart ached with the weight of their sacrifice, but she couldn't stop. She had to keep moving, to find the rest of the group and get them to safety. She spotted Sam and Leah huddled behind a collapsed wall, their expressions grim but determined. "We need to move," Evelyn said, her voice firm despite the chaos. "Marcus and David are buying us time." Leah nodded, her face set with resolve. "Let's get to the fallback point. We can regroup and plan our next move there." Sam adjusted his pack, his eyes scanning the horizon. "Lead the way." They moved as one, their steps purposeful as they navigated the treacherous terrain. Every fiber of Evelyn's being screamed to look back, to check on Marcus and David, but she forced herself to focus on the path ahead. The fallback point was a hidden bunker, a forgotten relic of past wars. It offered shelter and a chance to regroup, to plan their next move against the relentless Dracon forces. As they approached, Evelyn's thoughts were a whirlwind of fear and determination. The stakes had never been higher, and the enemy had never been more formidable. Yet, despite the insurmountable odds, she felt a fire burning within her, a fierce, unyielding resolve to fight, to survive, to reclaim their world. The bunker door loomed ahead, a promise of sanctuary in a world gone mad. As they crossed the threshold, Evelyn knew the battle was far from over. The Dracon were relentless, their onslaught unyielding. But so was humanity, and as long as they drew breath, they would continue to fight. Inside the bunker, the air was cool and still, a stark contrast to the chaos outside. Evelyn leaned against the wall, her breath ragged but her spirit unbroken. She looked at Sam and Leah, their faces etched with exhaustion and resolve. "We'll rest here, gather our strength," she said, her voice firm. "But we won't stop fighting. Not now, not ever." Leah nodded, her eyes bright with determination. "We'll find a way. We always do." Sam grinned, the expression a flicker of hope in the darkness. "They won't know what hit them." Evelyn allowed herself a small smile, a glimmer of light amidst the shadows. The road ahead was fraught with danger, the enemy formidable and merciless. But they were human, and they would endure. Together, they would forge a path through the darkness, and one day, reclaim their world. As the bunker door closed behind them, the weight of their mission settled over Evelyn like a mantle. The Draacon were advancing, their war machines a testament to their might. But she believed in her people, in their resilience and courage. They had faced the end of the world, and they would rise from its ashes. The fight was far from over, and the stakes had never been higher. But in the face of insurmountable odds, humanity's spirit burned brighter than ever. And as long as they fought, there was hope. The cavernous expanse of the Galactic Tribunal was a daunting testament to the combined might and sophistication of over 1,000 interstellar civilizations. Its ceiling arched impossibly high, shimmering with constellations that mirrored the vast array of species represented within. The walls pulsed with a soft bioluminescent glow, casting an ethereal light upon the central dais where the human stood, a solitary figure amidst the sprawling amphitheater. Elliot Fraser shifted uneasily under the scrutiny of countless eyes. The tribunal chamber was filled with beings of every imaginable form, some ethereal, shimmering like liquid mercury, others hulking and armored, exuding a gravitas that seemed to press upon the very air. Despite their diversity, they shared one unifying trait: an utter disbelief in the capability of a human to stand as a key witness in the galactic trial that might determine the fate of Earth. Whispers rippled through the assembly, transmitted through telepathic links and vocalizations alike. Elliot could feel the skepticism, the incredulity. Humanity was a backwater species, barely crawling from the cradle of their own solar system, and yet here he was, summoned to provide testimony in a conflict of cosmic proportions. The proctor of the tribunal, a being of exquisite presence known as Cathara, adjusted her glistening carapace, her many eyes narrowing with an inscrutable expression. Her voice, amplified by unseen technology, resonated through the chamber. "Elliot Fraser, you are the representative of your species, appointed to bear witness to the events surrounding the conflict with the Xyrex Dominion. Are you prepared to present your testimony?" Elliot swallowed, his throat dry. "Yes, Proctor," he replied, his voice echoing back to him, a lone human sound in a sea of alien discourse. "Proceed," Cathara intoned, gesturing with a graceful appendage. Elliot took a deep breath, his mind racing back to the beginning of this ordeal. Earth, an unassuming blue planet, had been caught in the crossfire of an ancient vendetta between the Xyrex and their rivals, the Merlians. What had begun as a skirmish on the fringes of human space had escalated into a full-blown conflict, one that threatened to engulf his home world. Elliot's role had been thrust upon him by a quirk of fate. As a linguist and cultural liaison on the Merlian outpost, he had been privy to the initial diplomatic exchanges. Alongside his Merlian counterpart, a being named Vale, Elliot had witnessed the Xyrex assault firsthand, a calculated, brutal strike that left the outpost in ruins. Vale, standing beside him in the tribunal, a serpentine being adorned with iridescent scales, offered a subtle nod of encouragement. Elliot drew strength from their friendship, a bond forged in the crucible of shared catastrophe. The Merlian and the human had survived against staggering odds, and now they stood together once more. The Xyrex attack was unprovoked, Elliot began, his voice steady. They disregarded all protocols of engagement, targeting civilian populations and initiating hostilities without any formal declaration of war. A murmur of dissent surged through the assembly, and Elliot felt the weight of their disbelief like a tangible force. The Xyrex were known for their ruthless efficiency, but also for adhering to their own code of conduct. To question their honor was to invite a maelstrom of political repercussions. Beside him, Vale spoke, her voice a melodious counterpoint to the discordant clamor. "The Merlian delegation has corroborated Elliot Fraser's account. We witnessed the destruction and have presented evidence of the Xyrex incursion." Cathara's eyes flickered with interest as she gestured for silence. "The tribunal acknowledges the Merlian testimony. However, The question remains. Why would the Xyrex target a human settlement of seemingly no strategic value? Elliot hesitated, the enormity of the implications pressing upon him. I believe the Xyrex sought to manipulate the conflict, to draw humanity into their web as an unwitting pawn. They underestimated our resolve, our ability to bear witness and seek justice. As if on cue, a massive holographic display activated, projecting the harrowing scenes of the Xyrex assault. The audience watched in silence as destruction unfolded, a stark reminder of the frailty of human life against the backdrop of interstellar warfare. But then, as the imagery faded, an unexpected complication arose. A representative of the Xyrex, an imposing figure encased in bioengineered armor, stepped forward. His voice, resonant and commanding, filled the chamber. We deny these allegations. The humans encroached upon our territory, violating sacred agreements. Our response was defensive. Elliot's heart sank. The Xyrex were masters of manipulation, twisting narratives to suit their needs. A murmur of uncertainty spread through the tribunal, and Elliot realized how outmatched they truly were. Humanity's voice was a whisper against the Xyrex' orchestrated symphony of deception. Elliot exchanged a glance with Vale, who nodded imperceptibly. They had anticipated this move, but the sheer weight of the Xyrex' influence threatened to drown their testimony. The tribunal, a beacon of fairness, was not immune to political machinations. Desperation clawed at Elliot's resolve as he stepped forward. The Xyrex claim to be defenders, yet their actions speak otherwise. I implore the tribunal to consider the evidence without bias. Cathara's expression was unreadable as she addressed the assembly. The tribunal will deliberate, but it seeks additional testimony to ascertain the truth. Are there other witnesses? From the shadows, an unexpected figure emerged, a member of the enigmatic Arcturan Council. Their presence was rare, their motives inscrutable. Yet here they were, casting an aura of mystery upon the proceedings. The Arcturan's voice was a whisper that somehow reached every corner of the vast chamber. We have observed the Xyrex' activities and are prepared to present our own findings. The truth may be more complex than it appears. Elliot's heart leapt. The Arcturans were known for their neutrality, their insights often tipping the scales in delicate matters. Hope flickered in his chest, yet he knew better than to rely solely on their intervention. As the tribunal shifted into a recess, Elliot found himself alone with Vale in the quiet alcove. The silence was a balm, a momentary reprieve from the storm of uncertainty. Vale regarded him with an intensity that belied her serene exterior. Elliot, the path ahead is fraught with danger. The Xyrex are formidable adversaries. Still, there is potential within your kind, a resilience that defies expectations. Elliot met her gaze, noticing the wisdom reflected in her eyes. I'm just a man trying to do what's right, he admitted, a trace of vulnerability creeping into his voice. But we're outmatched, Vale. The Xyrex have resources and influence beyond our reach. Vale's scales glistened under the muted light. True, but there is power in unity, in the courage to stand firm against adversity. Humanity is untested, yet unbroken. This trial may yet reveal strengths unknown. Elliot nodded, a tentative resolve taking root. He thought of Earth, of the myriad faces that would be affected by the tribunal's decision. They were counting on him to be their voice, to endure when all seemed lost. As he and Vale returned to the chamber, another complication awaited. A new faction had entered the fray, a coalition of species aligned with the Xyrex, their motives veiled in shadow. Their presence further muddied the waters, casting doubt upon the Merlian and human testimonies. Doubt rippled through the tribunal, casting a pallor of uncertainty. Elliot felt the pressure mounting, the weight of expectations threatening to crush him. Yet amidst the chaos, he found a sense of calm, a realization that he was not alone. Vale stood steadfast, her support a beacon guiding him through the storm. The tribunal's deliberations stretched on, tension mounting with each passing moment. Elliot and Vale watched as arguments were presented, evidence scrutinized, narratives spun and unraveled. Their hopes ebbed and flowed, caught in the tide of galactic politics. But then, as the tribunal reconvened, an unexpected voice rose above the din. An elder from the Arcturan Council, their presence commanding attention, spoke with a clarity that pierced the uncertainty. Through our observations, we have discerned a pattern, a manipulation of events designed to sow discord and obscure the truth. The Xyrex have overstepped, their actions not of defense but of calculated aggression. A collective gasp reverberated through the chamber, the scales tipping once more. Elliot's heart quickened. The Arcturans' intervention was a lifeline, a glimmer of justice amidst the chaos. Cathara's gaze swept the assembly, her voice resonant with authority. The tribunal acknowledges the Arcturan testimony. Their insights shall inform our decision. A hushed anticipation descended as the tribunal reached its verdict. Elliot held his breath, his fate entwined with the judgment of this assembly. The proctor's voice, when it came, was a melody of gravitas and finality. The tribunal finds the Xyrex in violation of galactic protocols. Their actions are deemed aggressive, their motives false. Reparations shall be made to the Merlians and humanity, and the Xyrex shall face sanctions. Elliot's relief was palpable, a weight lifted from his shoulders. The tribunal's decision was a victory, yet tempered by the knowledge of what lay ahead. The Xyrex would not easily accept defeat, and the path to lasting peace remained fraught with challenges. As the assembly dispersed, Vale turned to him, her expression one of quiet satisfaction. "You have done well, Elliot. Humanity's potential shines brighter than you know." He met her gaze, a burgeoning sense of purpose unfurling within him. The trial was but a chapter in a larger saga, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. They were outmatched, yes, but not defeated. Together, they would face whatever the cosmos had in store. As Elliot and Vale left the tribunal, the stars beyond beckoned, a vast, uncharted expanse filled with both peril and promise. And in that moment, Elliot knew that humanity's story was only just beginning, a tale of survival, of hope, and of the indomitable will to endure. As the sun dipped below the horizon, its dying embers cast a crimson glow over the shattered remnants of what was once a thriving city. The skeletal remains of skyscrapers stood like solemn sentinels, their jagged silhouettes etched against the twilight sky. The air was thick with the acrid scent of ash and decay, a grim testament to the cataclysm that had ravaged the world. Amidst this desolation, a band of survivors moved with grim determination. At their forefront was Captain Alara Morgan, a woman of unwavering resolve and iron will. Her eyes, a steely gray, scanned the horizon with relentless vigilance. She was the beating heart of this band of humanity, a beacon of hope in a world that had forgotten what hope looked like. The group had been on the move for days, driven by the faintest whisper of a rumor, a promise of sanctuary in the vast, barren wastelands. But the journey had been unforgiving. Supplies were dwindling, and the radiation-infested landscape offered few reprieves. Yet, it wasn't just the inhospitable environment that stalked them. There were other, more sinister forces at play. From the shadows, the marauders watched, their eyes glinting with malice. These were not mere bandits, but remnants of a once great military, twisted and corrupted by the devastation. They had become predators in this new world, preying on the weak and scavenging what little remained. Their leader, a man known only as the Wraith, had a reputation for ruthlessness, and his presence was a specter haunting the survivors' every step. As the group made camp for the night, Alara gathered them around the flickering campfire, its warmth a small comfort against the encroaching chill. She surveyed the weary faces of her comrades, each one a testament to human endurance. There was Marcus, the grizzled veteran who had seen too much but refused to give up, Jenna, the medic whose gentle hands belied a fierce spirit, and Sam, the young engineer whose clever mind had salvaged hope from the ruins time and again. Yet, even as they huddled together, a palpable tension hummed through the air. The darkness was no longer just an absence of light, it was a presence all its own, seeping into the cracks of their resolve. Alara spoke, her voice steady despite the weight of their plight. "We're close now, I can feel it. Sanctuary is out there, waiting for us. But we have to stay vigilant. The marauders won't rest until they've taken everything from us." Marcus grunted, his gaze fixed on the fire. "We'll make it, Captain. We're survivors, every last one of us." But even as he spoke, a shadow flickered at the edge of the firelight, a reminder that survival was a fragile thing. That night, sleep came fitfully, haunted by dreams of what once was and what could never be again. When dawn broke, it did so reluctantly, the sun's rays filtered through a shroud of dust and despair. The group packed up their meager belongings, their movements efficient and practiced. Yet, as they set off, a sense of unease gnawed at the edges of their thoughts. The land seemed to close in around them, a labyrinthine wilderness with no escape. It was Sam who first noticed the change in the air. A faint rumble, barely perceptible, thrummed through the ground beneath their feet. He paused, tilting his head to listen more intently. "Do you hear that?" he asked, his voice laced with concern. The others stopped, straining to catch the sound. It was a low, rhythmic pulse, growing steadily louder, a portent of something ominous. Jenna's eyes widened with realization. "It's them, the Marauders. They've found us." Panic threatened to seize them, but Alara's voice cut through the rising fear. "We need to move, now." Driven by urgency, they plunged into the dense foliage, the landscape a blur as they fled. The ground trembled with the approach of their pursuers, the Marauders' vehicles a relentless tide bearing down upon them. The chase was a harrowing gauntlet, branches clawing at their skin, roots threatening to trip them at every turn. Yet, in adversity, humanity's greatest strength shone through: adaptability. It was Sam who spotted the narrow crevice in the rock face, a hidden refuge that might just offer a momentary reprieve. "This way," he shouted, beckoning the others to follow. They squeezed into the fissure, their hearts pounding in their chests. Barely moments later, the Marauders thundered past, their roars echoing through the valley, unaware that their quarry had slipped through their grasp. In the cramped darkness, the survivors allowed themselves a moment to breathe, their relief tempered by the knowledge that this was only a temporary respite. The threat was ever present, and they were far from safe. "We can't keep running," Marcus said, his voice a low rumble. "We need a plan, Alara." She nodded, her mind racing. The Marauders were relentless, but they were not invincible. If they could just find a way to turn the tables, to exploit a weakness. Sam's eyes glinted with an idea. "I might be able to rig something up. A diversion. If we can find some old tech, maybe a power source." Hope kindled anew, fragile but fiercely burning. It was a dangerous gamble, but it was a chance, the only chance they had. The decision made, they emerged from their hiding place, moving with renewed purpose. The remnants of a world once dominated by technology lay scattered across the wasteland, forgotten relics waiting to be repurposed by human ingenuity. Their search was frantic, time slipping away like sand through their fingers. But luck was with them. An abandoned factory loomed nearby, its rusting shell a treasure trove of possibilities. Inside, the air was thick with dust and disuse, but Sam's eyes gleamed with excitement. He dove into the chaotic jumble of wires and circuits, his hands moving with practiced precision. The others stood guard, their senses on high alert for any sign of the Marauders' return. Hours passed, tension coiling tighter with each tick of the clock. But finally, Sam stood back, his creation humming with life, a makeshift EMP, cobbled together from the detritus of the old world. "It's not pretty," he admitted, wiping grime from his forehead. "But it'll work." Alara clapped a hand on his shoulder, gratitude shining in her eyes. "It's perfect." With their trap set, they took up positions, hearts pounding with anticipation and dread. In the distance, the rumble of the Marauders' approach grew louder, a storm bearing down upon them. As the first of the Marauders' vehicles came into view, Alara gave the signal. Sam's finger hovered over the trigger, sweat beading on his brow. "Now," she cried, and with a flick of the switch, the EMP detonated. The air crackled with energy, a silent scream that reverberated through the ether. The Marauders' vehicles shuddered to a halt, their engines silenced, their power stolen. But the victory was short-lived. From the immobilized convoy, the Wraith emerged, his eyes blazing with fury. He was a man unaccustomed to defeat, and his rage was a palpable force. "You think this will stop us?" he bellowed, his voice echoing across the wasteland. "We are inevitable." The survivors braced themselves, knowing that they had only bought themselves a moment. The Wraith's forces were formidable, and they would be back, stronger and more determined than ever. As the Marauders regrouped, Alara and her band slipped away, their spirits buoyed by the knowledge that they had struck a blow against their oppressors. Yet the cost weighed heavily upon them. Resources were dwindling, tensions frayed, and the path ahead was fraught with peril. The days that followed were a blur of exhaustion and desperation. Hunger gnawed at their bellies, and the relentless pursuit of the Marauders sapped their strength. But through it all, the glimmer of human creativity refused to be extinguished. Jenna, with her healer's touch, tended to their wounds, her hands weaving miracles from the simplest of materials. Marcus, ever the warrior, scouted ahead, his instincts honed by years of survival. And Alara, their indomitable leader, kept them moving forward, her vision of sanctuary a beacon in the darkness. Yet, for all their resilience, the burden of leadership lay heavy upon Alara's shoulders. Every decision weighed upon her, every failure a knife twisted in her gut. She knew that the fate of her people rested in her hands, and the weight of that responsibility was a crushing force. As the days bled into nights and hope waned, the survivors found themselves at the precipice of despair. The marauders were relentless, their pursuit a dark shadow that loomed ever closer. Supplies were gone, the land offering no succor. In their darkest moment, when all seemed lost, they stumbled upon a cavern, its depths untouched by the ravages of the surface. It was a place of strange beauty, crystal formations casting prisms of light in the bleakness. Here, in this unexpected refuge, they found a brief respite, a chance to regroup and rethink their strategy. But as they huddled together, the truth was undeniable: they were running out of time. The Wraith's forces were closing in, and the sanctuary they sought was still a distant dream. In that moment, as the weight of their predicament pressed down upon them, Alara made a vow. A promise to fight, to survive, to push the limits of human endurance and ingenuity. For in the end, it was not the strength of their enemies that they feared, but the strength within themselves, the untapped potential of a species that had risen time and again against insurmountable odds. And though the path was steep and fraught with danger, they would walk it together, driven by the unyielding spirit that defined them as human. The sky hung low over the shattered remains of New Seattle, a city now more graveyard than metropolis. Once, its skyline had been a proud tapestry of human ingenuity, a testament to the indomitable spirit that had tamed continents and reached for the stars. Now, it was a ghostly silhouette against the perpetual twilight, the sun swallowed by clouds of ash and smoke that choked the air and dimmed the world. In the ruins below, the survivors of humanity clung to life with the tenacity of weeds. Overhead loomed the alien dreadnoughts, vast and silent, like carrion birds waiting for the last heart to stop beating. The Zycri, conquerors from a distant star, had swept across Earth with the precision of a surgical knife, carving out human civilization and leaving only remnants in their wake. Their victory had seemed absolute, yet here, in the shadow of their arrogance, humanity still breathed. Among the rubble, the sound of a guitar drifted through the air, a haunting melody that wove through the broken city like a ghost of hope. Seated on a crumbling ledge, Caleb strummed the strings with calloused fingers, his eyes closed in concentration. The music was raw, rebellious, a defiance against the silence that the Zycri had tried to impose. Around him, a small group of survivors listened, their faces drawn and weary, yet softened by the sound. "They think they've won," Caleb said, his voice a low rumble. "But we're still here, aren't we?" "Barely," muttered Lena, a wiry woman whose eyes burned with the fire of 1,000 unspoken vows. She crouched beside a makeshift map, its edges frayed and smudged with dirt. "Supplies are running low, and we can't stay hidden forever. The patrols are getting closer every day." Caleb set the guitar aside and joined her, his gaze hardening as he traced a finger along their meager territory. "Then we don't hide, we fight." Lena looked up sharply, her expression a mixture of disbelief and admiration. "With what?" "They've got weapons we can't even comprehend." "They've got machines," Caleb corrected. "But we've got something they don't understand. We've got heart." From the shadows, a voice chimed in. "Heart won't stop a plasma bolt," grumbled Ronan, a former engineer who had seen his share of battles and loss. Caleb's eyes flicked to the older man, a smile ghosting his lips. "No, but it might stop them from firing. We've seen this kind of arrogance before. They think we're done for, they're wrong." The group fell silent, the enormity of their plight settling once again like a shroud. Yet in that silence, a spark ignited, flickering to life with the promise of something more. It was a fragile thing, this hope, yet it warmed them like a fire on a cold night. They spent the next hours in hushed conversation, plans taking shape amid whispered resolve. Lena's fingers danced over the map, delineating paths through the city's labyrinthine streets, while Ronan sketched designs for traps and diversions. Caleb, with his unyielding belief, spoke of courage and unity, words that wrapped around their hearts like armor. As the day waned and the shadows lengthened, they emerged from their hiding place, blending into the landscape of destruction. The Zycri drones hovered above, their sensors sweeping the ground with methodical precision, oblivious to the humans moving below. In the heart of the city, the Zycri had established their command center, a fortress of alien metal and light that pulsed with an eerie luminescence. It was here that humanity's fate had been sealed, and it was here that the survivors would make their stand. Under the cover of darkness, they approached, moving with the quiet grace of predators. Lena led the way, her eyes sharp and calculating, every step a dance over the remnants of a world that had once been. Behind her, Caleb and Ronan carried the weight of their plan, a desperate gambit that would either break the Zycri's hold or doom them all. The first explosion lit up the night like a star being born, a fierce blaze of orange and red that seared the darkness and sent the alien drones into a frenzy. It was followed by another, then another, a cascade of fire and fury that shook the ground and shattered the stillness. In the chaos, the survivors struck, emerging from the shadows with a ferocity that belied their tattered forms. Lena led the charge, her movements fluid and precise, each action a testament to the years of struggle and survival. Caleb was at her side, his guitar abandoned for a makeshift weapon, his battle cries a defiant song that echoed through the ruins. The Zycri, taken off guard by the audacity of the attack, scrambled to respond. Their overconfidence had been their downfall, their complacency a chink in the armor they had thought impenetrable. The humans were not defeated, they were a storm, and they had come for their reckoning. As the battle raged, Ronan worked frantically, his fingers flying over a console he had managed to access. The Zycri technology was alien and complex, yet there was a logic to it, a rhythm that he could almost dance to. He needed to sow confusion, to overload their systems, and he did so with the precision of a maestro conducting a symphony of chaos. The tide began to turn, slowly at first, then with gathering momentum. The Zycri, unprepared for such resistance, faltered. Their machines sputtered and failed, their soldiers cut down by the humans they had underestimated. Fear flickered in their alien eyes, a dawning realization that they had not crushed the spirit of Earth. They had only made it stronger. Through the haze of battle, Caleb caught sight of Lena, her face a mask of determination as she fought with the fury of 1,000 wronged souls. He found strength in her resolve, in the fire that burned within her, and he fought all the harder, each swing of his weapon a testament to the will that refused to be extinguished. Yet even as they pressed their advantage, a new threat emerged. From the heart of the Zycri command center, a figure appeared, taller and more regal than the others, its presence commanding and terrible. This was a leader, a general of their kind, and it moved with the confidence of one who had never known defeat. For a moment, the battle hung in balance, the air thick with possibility. The Zycri general surveyed the chaos with disdain, its gaze settling on the humans with a promise of retribution. This was the darkest hour, the moment when hope flickered and threatened to die. But it did not die. It blazed brighter. Caleb, seeing the danger, hurled himself forward, his voice rising above the din in a cry of defiance that shook the heavens. His courage was a beacon, a call to arms that rallied the survivors around him. Together, they charged, a tide of flesh and fury that swept toward the alien leader with the unstoppable force of a tsunami. The Zycri general met them with weapons of light and sound, its power immense and terrible. Yet the humans did not falter. They moved as one, their hearts beating to a singular rhythm, a symphony of resistance that could not be stilled. In the heart of the melee, Lena reached the general, her presence a whirlwind of motion and intent. She struck with the precision of a hunter, her blade finding a chink in the alien armor, a vulnerability that spoke of hubris and oversight. The Zycri staggered, its cry a keening wail that echoed through the city, and the humans pressed the attack, each blow a hammer of justice. Ronan, still at the console, saw his chance. The Zycri systems were faltering, their defenses unraveling under the assault. With a final command, he triggered a cascade failure, a digital avalanche that swept through their networks and left chaos in its wake. The fortress shuddered, its lights flickering and dying, and the Zycri fell back, their forces in disarray. The humans surged forward, a tide of vengeance that swept them up and carried them to victory. The alien general, wounded and vulnerable, was driven to its knees, its defeat a symbol of humanity's resurgence. In the aftermath, as the dust settled and the echoes of battle faded, the survivors stood victorious. They had faced the darkness and emerged into the light, their spirits unbroken, their resolve unyielding. Caleb, weary yet triumphant, looked to the sky, where dawn was breaking, painting the world in shades of gold and fire. This was not the end, it was the beginning of something new, a chance to rebuild from the ashes and reclaim their world. Lena stood beside him, her gaze fierce and unwavering. "They thought we were finished," she said, her voice a whisper of steel. "But they were wrong. We're just getting started." Ronan joined them, his smile a beacon of hope. "Let them come," he said. "We'll be ready." And so they stood, united in purpose, their hearts beating as one, a testament to the human spirit and its unquenchable fire. The darkest hour had passed, and from its shadow, a new dawn rose, bright and full of promise. The sky above was a canvas of ashen gray, the clouds swirling like the remnants of a dying storm, a last whisper of nature's fury. In the heart of what once was New York, now a mosaic of twisted steel and shattered glass, humanity's struggle for survival had reached a critical juncture. The alien invaders, known as the Zaltori, had underestimated the resilience of the human spirit, a fatal error that would alter the course of their conquest. Beneath the ruins of a collapsed skyscraper, the human resistance gathered, their faces illuminated by the flickering light of improvised torches. Marcus Kane, the de facto leader of the rebellion, stood at the center of the gathering, his presence a beacon of resolve and defiance. His voice, though worn from countless speeches and commands, carried the weight of humanity's indomitable will. "We have seen the depths of despair," Marcus began, his eyes sweeping across the faces of his comrades, each one bearing the scars of war, each one a testament to survival. "But now, we stand at the precipice of change. The Zaltori believe us broken, scattered. They have underestimated us at every turn. Today, we show them the folly of their arrogance." As Marcus spoke, a hush fell over the crowd, a collective anticipation that crackled like static in the air. Behind him, a holographic map flickered to life, displaying the positions of Zaltori forces across the continent. It was a daunting sight, an intricate web of red lines and marks that delineated enemy strongholds and patrol routes. "Thanks to our scouts, we have identified a critical vulnerability in their defenses," Marcus continued, pointing to a section of the map where the lines thinned to a single point. "The Zaltori rely heavily on their central command hub, buried deep beneath the surface of what was once Central Park. It's the nerve center of their operations. Cripple it, and we sever their lines of communication." A murmur of assent rippled through the assembly, a mixture of disbelief and hope. It was a bold plan, one that reeked of improbability, yet it was a plan born not just of desperation, but of meticulous human ingenuity. Amidst the crowd, a young woman named Alara stepped forward. Her eyes were bright with determination, and her hands were calloused from hours spent tinkering with salvaged technology. She was the architect of the plan, the one who had dared to dream of a way to pierce the heart of the enemy. "We've reverse-engineered their cloaking technology," Alara announced, her voice steady and confident. "With it, we can infiltrate their base undetected. Our engineers have fashioned a device, a pulse generator. Once activated, it will disable their systems, even if only for a few precious moments." Marcus nodded, a smile flickering at the corners of his mouth. "A few moments is all we need. Once inside, we strike with everything we've got." He paused, letting the gravity of the moment settle over them. Every person in the room knew the risks. The Zaltori were formidable foes, their technology far surpassing anything humanity had ever imagined. But they had never faced an enemy quite like humans, an enemy who thrived in adversity, who found strength in the unlikeliest of places. The assembly dispersed, each person knowing their role in the coming assault. The hours passed in a blur of preparation and whispered prayers. As darkness fell, the resistance forces moved like shadows through the ruins, their presence masked by the repurposed cloaking devices. The city was a silent witness to their passage, its once vibrant streets now desolate and foreboding. The approach to Central Park was fraught with tension, the air heavy with anticipation. The Zaltori patrols were relentless, their machines prowling the perimeter with mechanical precision. Yet, one by one, the humans slipped past their defenses, invisible phantoms in a world that had forgotten the touch of the living. In the heart of the park, beneath layers of reinforced concrete and alien alloys, the command hub lay nestled like a malignant tumor. Its walls pulsed with an eerie, otherworldly light, a stark reminder of the power it wielded. Here, the fate of humanity would be decided. The infiltration team, led by Marcus and Alara, moved with practiced ease, their movements synchronized by countless drills and exercises. The corridors were a labyrinth of alien architecture, the air thick with the hum of unseen machinery. Alara's pulse generator was their ace in the hole, a culmination of human ingenuity and desperation. As they neared the command center, she activated the device, her fingers dancing over the controls with methodical precision. A low hum filled the air, a tangible manifestation of their hope and defiance. The effect was immediate. Lights flickered and died, and the omnipresent hum of machinery faded to silence. Alarms blared in a cacophony of alien tones, and the path to the command center lay open, unguarded, vulnerable. The team surged forward, a wave of humanity crashing against the shores of an alien world. Marcus led the charge, his weapon a blur of motion as he dispatched the few Zaltori who stood in their way. They fought with the ferocity of cornered wolves, driven by the knowledge that this was their one chance, their last stand. The command center was a chamber of wonders and horrors, a testament to the Zaltori's technological prowess. In its center stood a console, a monolith of alien design, its surface alive with shifting patterns of light. Alara approached it with reverence, her heart pounding in her chest. This was her moment, the culmination of her work and dreams. Her hands flew over the console, her mind racing to decipher the alien logic that controlled it. Around her, the battle raged, each second a heartbeat in the symphony of chaos. Marcus and the others held the line, their weapons a constant staccato rhythm against the alien forces that poured into the room. At last, Alara found what she sought, a way to upload the virus they had crafted, a digital weapon designed to dismantle the Zaltori's control systems. With a final, decisive keystroke, she set the plan in motion. The console flared to life, a cascade of light and energy that rippled through the command center. The Zaltori cried out in confusion and anger, their voices a discordant symphony of rage. Systems faltered and failed, and the once invincible hub was reduced to chaos. The humans pressed their advantage, a tidal wave of defiance and fury. The Zaltori, for all their technology and might, were unprepared for the raw, unyielding force of human will. In the heart of their stronghold, they realized the truth. They had underestimated their enemy. They had underestimated humanity. As the battle drew to a close, the tide irrevocably turned in humanity's favor. The Zaltori retreated, their forces in disarray, their command crippled by the audacity of human innovation. The resistance emerged victorious, their ranks battered but unbroken, their spirits soaring with the realization of what they had achieved. In the aftermath, the survivors gathered beneath the open sky, the first rays of dawn breaking through the clouds. The city lay in ruins around them, but it was a ruin that now belonged to them, reclaimed from the clutches of their alien oppressors. Marcus stood among them, his eyes fixed on the horizon. He felt the weight of their victory, the promise of a new dawn. Beside him, Alara surveyed the scene with a mixture of awe and disbelief. "We did it," she murmured, her voice a whisper on the wind. Marcus nodded, his expression unreadable. "This is just the beginning," he replied, his voice filled with quiet determination. "They know what we're capable of now. They know we're not to be underestimated." The survivors shared a moment of silence, a collective breath held in the wake of their triumph. The path ahead was fraught with challenges and dangers, but they faced it with renewed strength and purpose. Humanity had shown its true colors, a force of nature that refused to be subdued. As the sun rose on a world reborn, the humans stood resolute, their gaze fixed on the future. The Zaltori had come seeking conquest, but they had found something far more formidable, a species that thrived in adversity, that found hope in the darkest of places. And so, with the dawn of a new day, humanity prepared to meet whatever lay ahead. They were the architects of their destiny, the masters of their fate. In the end, they were human, and that, as the Zaltori had learned to their cost, was no small thing. The serene remnant of Earth's atmosphere lay heavy with anticipation as the remnants of humanity prepared for their final stand. The sky, once a tapestry of azure and golden hues, now bore the scars of 100 battles, a swirling canvas of stormy clouds and electric pulses. It was amidst this chaotic grandeur that the human spirit burned brightest, unyielding, and defiant. The alien armada loomed above, an iron curtain of formidable warships, each one a glistening leviathan of metal and malice. For years, the invaders had underestimated Earth and its denizens, viewing them as little more than primitive creatures destined for subjugation. Yet, it was on this day, in the shadow of their impending victory, that they would witness the true might of humanity. In the heart of the abandoned city of New Haven, a sprawling hub of resistance activity had emerged. Here, in the depths of the underground bunkers, the last bastion of human ingenuity and resilience was at work. Engineers, scientists, soldiers, and civilians, all united by a singular purpose, labored tirelessly to craft the ultimate weapon of liberation. The innovation was called Project Phoenix, a beacon of hope designed to harness the very force of the universe itself. At its core was an artifact discovered years ago, deep within the ruins of an ancient civilization, rumored to be the progenitors of cosmic energy manipulation. Now, this artifact had been integrated into a machine of human design, an amalgamation of ancient power and modern technology. Commander Alara Voss stood in the command center, her gaze unwavering as she surveyed the hollow displays mapping the battlefield above. Her presence was magnetic, a force that drew strength from those around her. Her voice, calm and authoritative, cut through the tension like a blade. "Prepare to activate Project Phoenix," she commanded, her words resonating through the chamber. From the shadows emerged Dr. Amir Khoury, the lead scientist behind the project. His eyes were alight with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. "The calculations are complete, Commander. Once initiated, there's no turning back. The power we unleash could either save us or destroy us." Alara nodded, her resolve unshaken. "We've faced annihilation for too long, Amir. It's time we reclaim our world. Engage the activation sequence." The chamber buzzed with an ethereal hum as the activation sequence commenced. Energy conduits flared to life, weaving a tapestry of luminescent threads that danced across the room. The artifact, ensconced within its cradle, pulsed with an ancient rhythm, resonating with the very heartbeat of the cosmos. Above, the alien fleet began their final approach, descending with the inevitability of a gathering storm. Their commanders, ensconced in their viewports, watched in bemusement as the human resistance launched a seemingly futile counteroffensive. It was then, at the precipice of annihilation, that they first sensed it, the rising crescendo of energy emanating from New Haven. In that moment, the alien generals realized their grievous error. They had dismissed humanity's capacity for adaptation and innovation, blinded by their hubris. Now, they bore witness to a spectacle that defied comprehension. The skies above New Haven ignited as the energy from Project Phoenix pierced the heavens, a radiant column of light that surged into the vastness of space. The alien ships, caught in its wake, quivered as their systems faltered, overwhelmed by the sheer magnitude of power unleashed. Shields collapsed, hulls buckled, and the Armada, once invincible, found themselves at the mercy of Earth's wrath. Now, Alara's voice rang out, filled with the conviction of 1,000 voices united. "Strike with everything we've got." From every corner of the globe, humanity's forces emerged, emboldened by the sudden shift in the tide. Fighters soared into the fray, sleek and streamlined, weaving through the chaos with precision and grace. On the ground, soldiers rallied, their movements a choreographed dance of determination and courage. The battleground became a symphony of human excellence, a testament to the resilience that had defined their species throughout eons of struggle. Pilots executed aerial maneuvers with uncanny dexterity, outflanking enemy fighters with calculated precision. Engineers, entrenched in their makeshift command posts, orchestrated the battlefield with unmatched brilliance, redirecting energy beams and coordinating attacks with flawless synchronization. In the heart of New Haven, the energy from Project Phoenix continued to surge, a beacon of defiance that illuminated the night sky. As the artifact's power crescendoed, it resonated with the collective will of every human soul, amplifying their resolve and determination. Above, the alien commanders watched in disbelief as their fleet was systematically dismantled. The realization of their catastrophic misjudgment dawned on them, the weight of their arrogance crashing down like a tidal wave. They had underestimated humanity, not just as fighters, but as a force of nature, unpredictable, unyielding, and unstoppable. Desperation took hold, and the aliens attempted a retreat, but it was too late. The trap had been sprung, and humanity's grip was relentless. With each passing moment, the alien presence dwindled, their once mighty armada reduced to smoldering wreckage. In the command center, Alara watched the displays with a fierce pride. Her heart swelled with the knowledge that they had achieved the impossible. Humanity had risen from the ashes, phoenix-like, to reclaim their world. As the last of the alien ships fell from the sky, a cheer erupted from the resistance forces. It was a sound that carried across the battlefield, a jubilant roar of triumph that resonated with every soul. The victory was not just a reclamation of their planet, but a testament to the indomitable spirit that had defined humanity throughout the ages. Dr. Amir Khoury, standing beside Alara, marveled at the spectacle before him. "We did it," he breathed, awestruck by the monumental achievement. "We really did it." Alara turned to him, her eyes reflecting the fire of 1,000 suns. "This is just the beginning, Amir. We've proven our worth, and now we forge our future." The skies, once darkened by the shadow of alien oppression, now shimmered with the light of freedom. The human race, united as never before, stood as a beacon of hope in the universe, a testament to the power of resilience, ingenuity, and the unbreakable bonds of unity. With the alien threat vanquished, they would rebuild, stronger and wiser than before. They would explore the cosmos, not as conquerors, but as seekers of knowledge and understanding. And in doing so, they would write a new chapter in the annals of history, a chapter that spoke of courage, sacrifice, and the enduring spirit of humanity. As the dawn broke over the horizon, bathing the land in the golden glow of a new day, the people of Earth stood together, victorious and unbowed. They had faced the darkness and emerged triumphant, a testament to the power of hope and the infinite potential of the human soul. The sun rose over the scarred landscape, casting long shadows across the remnants of a world reborn. Where once stood towering cities of steel and glass, now lay fields of green, tended by hands both old and new. The air was crisp, carrying the scent of fresh earth and blossoming life, a testament to humanity's indomitable spirit and their triumph over the desolation that had once threatened to consume all. Eli stood at the crest of a hill, surveying the land below. His eyes, once weary from years of conflict, now shone with a quiet hope. Around him, the survivors of the last great battle moved with purpose, rebuilding not just their homes but their lives. The victory against the alien invaders had not only secured humanity's survival but had sparked a transformation that rippled through the very fabric of society. Beside him, Dr. Lena Volkov knelt beside a small plot of land. Her hands, once accustomed to the sterile confines of a laboratory, were now stained with soil. She had become a beacon of resilience, her work instrumental in turning the tide of war. The bioweapon she had engineered, a virus that targeted the invaders' unique DNA, had given humanity the edge they desperately needed. As she planted the first seeds into the ground, she whispered a silent promise to nurture the life they had fought so hard to protect. "Looks like your green thumb is finally paying off," Eli said, a teasing lilt in his voice. Lena laughed softly, a sound that had become all too rare in those dark days. "I think I've finally found my calling," she replied, patting the soil gently over the seeds. Science and nature, working hand in hand. Further down the hill, the remnants of the Allied forces were busy constructing new shelters from the ruins of the alien architecture. The sleek, cold designs of the invaders were being reshaped into something distinctly human, warm, welcoming, and full of life. Among the workers was Commander Asher, his authoritative presence a comforting reminder of the leadership that had guided them through the chaos. Asher had been a warrior, through and through. His strategic mind and unwavering resolve had steered the human forces to victory. Now, with the war over, he had traded his battle armor for work clothes, his once commanding voice now used to direct the construction efforts that would lay the foundation for the new world. His eyes met Eli's from across the distance, a silent acknowledgement passing between them. They had been comrades in arms, brothers forged in the crucible of war. Now, they were builders of peace, architects of a future that had once seemed unattainable. In the distance, the remnants of the alien mothership loomed, a monolithic shadow against the brightening sky. It stood as a reminder of what had been lost and what had been gained, a symbol of humanity's resilience and their capacity to overcome insurmountable odds. The technology within, once a tool of oppression, was now being repurposed for the benefit of all, a testament to the adaptability that had defined humanity's rise from the ashes. Kira, the young prodigy who had once been nothing more than a frightened refugee, now led a team of engineers in deciphering the alien technology. Her intellect, once dismissed by those around her, had proven pivotal in understanding and dismantling the invaders' advanced systems. Her presence was a testament to the new world they were building, a world where potential was recognized, where every voice mattered. As the sun climbed higher, casting its warmth over the earth, a new sound filled the air. Laughter, joyous and unrestrained, echoed across the fields. Children, born in the aftermath of war, played among the ruins, their innocence a balm to the scars that lingered in the hearts of the survivors. They were the embodiment of hope, the promise that life would continue, no matter the trials faced. Eli watched them, a smile tugging at his lips. They were the future, untouched by the horrors of the past, unburdened by the memories that still haunted their elders. They would grow to inherit a world that was kinder, more just, a world where humanity had learned from its mistakes. "Do you think we did it?" Lena asked, rising to stand beside Eli. "Do you think we've truly changed?" Eli considered her words, casting his gaze over the land, the people, the promise of what was to come. "We've done more than change," he replied softly. "We've evolved. We've chosen to be better, to build something lasting from the ashes of what was." Asher's voice rose above the clatter of construction, calling for a break. The workers gathered, sharing food and stories, their camaraderie a testament to the bonds forged in the fires of adversity. Among them, Eli saw faces from every corner of the globe, united by a common purpose, a shared dream. Kira joined them, her face lit with the excitement of discovery. "We've managed to integrate the alien power cells into our grid," she announced, her voice carrying with it the thrill of triumph. "We'll have sustainable energy for generations to come." The news was met with cheers, a collective exhalation of relief and joy. It was another victory, a step closer to the world they envisioned. A world where technology served humanity rather than enslaved it. As the day wore on, Eli found himself wandering through the fields, reflecting on the journey that had brought them here. The scars of war were still visible, etched into the landscape and the souls of those who had survived. But there was beauty too, new growth pushing through cracked earth, the laughter of children, the determination etched into every face. He paused at the edge of a small pond, its surface shimmering in the afternoon light. In its reflection, he saw not just himself, but the countless others who had fought and sacrificed for this moment. Their legacy was etched into every blade of grass, every stone turned and seed planted. Lena joined him, slipping her hand into his. They stood in silence, the weight of the past a gentle reminder of how far they had come. "We did it," she said softly, her voice carrying the weight of all they had endured. Eli nodded, his heart full. "We did it." As the sun began its descent, painting the sky in hues of gold and crimson, the community gathered once more. A bonfire crackled in the center of the clearing, its warmth a beacon in the encroaching twilight. They shared stories of the past, dreams of the future, their voices mingling with the crackle of the flames. Asher stood, raising a toast to those who had fallen, to those who had fought, to those who would carry the torch forward. His words were simple, yet profound, a reminder of the strength and unity that had carried them through the darkest of times. "We are more than survivors," he declared, his voice echoing into the night. "We are the architects of a new dawn." The cheers that followed were a promise, a vow to honor the sacrifices made, to cherish the peace won. And as the stars emerged, twinkling in the vast tapestry above, Eli felt a sense of peace settle over him, a certainty that humanity had not just survived, but had thrived. The world they had forged was not without its challenges. There would be struggles, setbacks, moments of doubt. But they had learned, grown, evolved. They would face the future with courage, with hope, with the unyielding spirit that had defined them. As the fire burned low and the night deepened, Eli looked around at the faces illuminated by the flickering light. These were his people, his family, his future. Together, they would build a world where humanity's legacy would be one of resilience, compassion, and unyielding determination. In the distance, the alien ruins loomed, silent witnesses to the dawn of a new era. They stood as a testament to the past, a reminder of the battles fought and won. But more than that, they were a symbol of the enduring spirit of humanity, a spirit that had faced the abyss and emerged victorious. And so, under the watchful gaze of the cosmos, humanity took its first steps into a new world. A world of their making, a world of their choosing. A world where they had proven, once and for all, that they were here to stay. Eli turned to Lena, his heart full of gratitude and hope. "To the future," he said, his voice steady and sure. "To the future," she echoed, her eyes shining with the promise of what was to come. Together, they faced the horizon, ready to embrace whatever lay beyond. For they were humanity, and they had prevailed.